There are Catherine and Julie out on
that would send me back to level 1 all over again. My dad was like, why didn't you tell me how bad it was on the off-grounds? This was the contract they had me sign before all the off-grounds. Phil Elberg was one of the first lawyers to ever successfully sue one of these programs, and he's been a big advocate for kids ever since then.
It just makes me sad. It's sad.
Julie and Catherine take a little stroll.
This piece is the hardest thing for parents to understand. I've heard so many parents say, well, why didn't my child tell me when they came home, when there was nobody monitoring their conversation? And I remember one young woman telling me it was easier to just try to do what I had to do to finish. I mean, that's just the nature of being in a coercive atmosphere.
Start the camera because there may be people back home that would like you to say something to them. Can you say...
Well, take me home and I'll say it to them in person.
Okay, well, can you say hello to Rachel?
Hi, Rachel.
Yeah, and tell her how much you like it here.
I hate it.
Oh, you do?
Take me home. I took a big risk by saying this. I would have lost all my points and started at level 1 all over again. Lost a year of progress. But my stepmother wasn't within earshot, so I took my chance. I don't know, that's weird. We are heading to Katie's place. We are going to go look at the files that Katie has been storing. She has really been going down her own rabbit hole. Katie was also in my family at Ivy Ridge. She was only 13 years old when she was sent there. She's been coordinating the effort of returning files to people who have been requesting them.
Oh my goodness, so is it both containers?
Yeah.
How many files do you have?
There's probably about a little over 1,700. 1,700?
Yeah. Just kind of went through them individually and started alphabetizing them, and then from there I just started putting them in envelopes. This is the rest of it.
Oh, this is overflow.
Yeah.
Wait, there's like literally so much.
It was a long process just organizing everything. That probably took a good, 6 months. I mean, at one point this was all in my apartment.
What's this? Group notes?
Some of these are like the dorm parent notes.
Oh,
so
yeah,
the dorm notes. The dorm parents.
How many people got a bloody nose that day?
Yeah, pretty much. How many bottles of water did Catherine drink today?
None.
Seriously, they wanted to keep track of how much.
They have that?
I don't know if it's yours specifically, but they kept track of
the reason it would probably be none because the water there, remember, it was yellow and smelled like toilet water.
Yeah,
and I think that's why I'm so dehydrated.
Yeah,
all the time now. Why I got a kidney stone?
Same. I did not drink that water unless it was the new bottle.
Oh my gosh, this is a 12-year-old. What the fuck?
Wow.
Okay, so this poor little 12-year-old has a very thick file.
Yeah, usually the thicker those files are, the harder time the child had. These people need to know what happened to them wasn't their fault. I don't want to say it's a weight lifted off. I mean, for me, it definitely was, just to prove you're not crazy. This did happen. So a lot of people are grateful to have that, in writing, right in front of them.
To have the proof and validation of all the insane shit that went on there. That's now, what I'm trying to do is, get all this evidence together and present it to my dad. I'd cut off contact with my dad when I first discovered my files in the building. I needed time to myself to process everything, and I'd never taken the time to be properly angry at him for the program. At first, when I stopped talking to him, I didn't know how long it was going to be. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to make it 15 months because that's how long I was in there. And I want him to feel what it's like to just be suddenly cut off from communication. And I felt like a jerk when it was his birthday. But anytime I felt bad, I would just remember, well, he kept me there for my birthday. He kept me there for Christmas, birthdays, prom, all of this stuff. And he never really apologized or really understood what had happened. And I think that's the only thing that can happen before healing can happen, is to get them to understand what to be sorry for, to understand what we went through, the hopelessness and abandonment that we felt there, and the psychological torture that we went through. Oh, I'm really looking forward to that. So if you have any files that would like help
Don't
me be like,
challenge me.
see that? After 15 months of no contact, I decided to start communicating with my dad again, but only in writing. You have to earn his phone call. But that didn't stop him from leaving me a ton of voicemails.
Hey, Catherine, it's Dad. It'd be nice to be able to sit down and have a long conversation with you about this stuff so you can tell me at length and we can hear each other.
My response was, I can empathize with the frustration you must feel with just wanting to hop on the phone to talk things through, because that's how I felt when I was in the program. But I was not able to just pick up the phone. I'll talk to you when I'm ready, but I'm a bit of sorting through all these files we found. It's a lot to process, and you still have a lot of learning to do. Work your program.
There's no book on parenting, so you just don't know. Do you blame yourself? Like, what'd you do wrong? I mean, and she's 13, and I would go to the school bus and she wouldn't be there. I mean, that's just a horrible feeling. Where's your daughter? She didn't want to come home, and it was scary. And you just get to that point where you just want to do anything to help them. So they catch you when you're very vulnerable, and you make that phone call, and then they ease your mind, and this is the best place, and we can help with this, and we can help with that, and
Well, what are you going to do? I don't know what.
The people that the program most wants to influence is the parents, not the kids.
And so the key to understanding this industry is to understand the manipulation of the parents.
When a child is acting out, parents get terrified.
My family was being ripped apart.
And these programs say to the parents, if you don't put your child in our program, your child will die.
If he didn't do something soon, he was going to die, and there's going to be a death. There's going to be something tragic happen. And then somebody comes along and says, I have the answer to all your questions. All the problems go away by just buying into what it is I'm selling.
Parents get convinced that this is the absolutely only thing that's going to help their kid.
You think about people that join cults. It's people that are looking for a simple solution to a difficult problem. And so the kids weren't in the cult. The parents were in the cult. And they're probably going to have someone in the community where your dad was who's got a kid at one of the facilities. Call your dad and recommend them.
How did so many members of our evangelical community, did so many children from this group end up Alexa Graham's parents referred multiple families to the program?
that was one of the big things they tried to push about referrals. If you got people, you got like a free month, I think. So that was a big deal.
Using the parents as walking billboards. It was brilliant. The next thing the program convinces parents of is your kid's been able to manipulate you. And they're going to try to manipulate you now.
They're told, your kid's going to call you and tell you all this crap. Don't believe them. Don't let them get out early. And these desperate parents go along with it.
Any parents identified as wavering on their commitment will be called immediately by committee. This is so culty. This is like you cannot leave. Alexa's parents would communicate with family reps at the program when Dad started bringing up different red flags. And so literally the family reps there would fill out a form called a red flag report.
I found a red flag report about my dad that included an email from Alexa's mom that said, "To hear him call Ivy Ridge a prison is typical of how he can fly off the handle at times. Jane is the more level-headed of the two. Definitely sounds like she and Ken are on different pages. So the three of us are planning to meet sometime next week to support her. The good news is that Catherine's still at Ivy Ridge." So they would use the brands to then have a support group with them and make them feel better. They had this internal messaging board for parents called the BBS, where they would only let parents who were supportive of the program post on it, and they would monitor and so curate this perception of what was going on there.
As these things get said to them over and over and over, and they're in an environment where everybody's saying yes, and you've got somebody saying, yeah, this really helped my kid, and they all reinforce each other, parents buy into it. They get duped into it.
Parents were put through a series of seminars of their own, designed to make them feel supported and dedicated to keeping their kids in the program.
Fantastic.
These programs are so secretive that it's almost impossible to get footage of what's really going on inside. But I tried. I was able to sneak into a WASP seminar for parents who currently had children in the program. The parents were standing around in a circle, holding hands in a guided meditation, similar to how my dad was when I first saw him in PC1. They had the same stupid posters on the walls with program jargon. There are no accidents. What you fear, you create.
There's a mod
What did you think you're doing a
for
seminar
this
here?
game. We have actual cats walking around too. Yeah. Let me see if I can find one.
What's the goal of the seminar?
Whatever you get out of it, I don't know what issues you have, but if there's something you want to heal, it's transformed my life.
I mean, it was helpful. There was a lot of good learning from the seminars. They really get you pumped up, and they really wanted you to get outside your comfort zone, and I did. I went against everything I believe in and wore what they told me to wear.
It was hard for me to imagine my dogmatic evangelical dad participating in the seminars, prancing around and cross-dressing in front of a room full of people. How could the seminars, which were so psychologically damaging and harmful for us kids, have such a hold on our parents? One, the parent seminars were very different from the kids seminars. And two, parents
followed me.
Yeah. 45. Bathroom here, whatever. Got to the 5:40.
This is David Gilchrist.
Now where's Lucy?
He's the guy that created all of the seminars for WASP.
It's nighttime.
Prior to that, he had been a facilitator at LifeSpring for 10 years. The facilitators were known for being dictatorial and outright mean toward participants.
Oh! You're all assholes, everyone.
He pretty much just copied everything from LifeSpring and repackaged it as seminars for teenagers and their parents. And the importance of program completion was hammered into their heads relentlessly. If you leave the program before you finish all the seminars, you are a half-baked cake. You might look down on the outside, but you're not finished in the middle. You must complete the program.
Well, let's see.
When I sit back and look back on it now, you can see things that happened, but you can see it now, but you couldn't see it then. I mean, I felt like I did everything. We went up there, we saw the building, we talked to people, we personally dropped her off. The grass was mowed, the building looked nice, and then they take you in a nice room and they're talking to you.
Which one of these rooms does not belong?
Oh yeah, this office is ridiculous. It's all wood panel.
Oh wait.
All the rest of the rooms do not look like that. They were very careful. Whenever parents came in the building, they were only in this room.
Yeah.
Jason's office, wood paneling, could be prestigious. I don't know.
Basically, student council was the one that gave the parents orders. So they have you meet the parent in here, and then as you come in, you're like, hi, and then you just put on the whole thing. Hi, how you doing? It's so nice to meet you. You know, I was really bad. I was, into gangs, but once I came here, I just opened my eyes and I just saw something totally different. And you had to put that move, because it's like, if you tell them no, or if you're like, I'm not doing a parent tour, if the parent said anything negative about you, it's over. Your program's over, you want to start all over again.
I mean, I asked questions, so if I would have thought there were any red flags of her being hurt or anything in any way, I would have definitely went up and got her.
Seeing kind of how they severely manipulate everybody. Like, I can understand and know that my parents just wanted what was best for me, but it sucks. At the time, I definitely felt abandoned. Like, I was scared. I was sad. I feel like could have had a closer relationship if things went a different way. If we could have figured things out as a family instead of me just being isolated from my family and their life goes on. And I just came to an end for 19 months. So,
well, I mean, it wasn't meant to make you feel, isolated, and that hurts. It just really hurts to hear her story. I can't go back and change it.
Sorry.
I feel bad because a lot of these parents really did mean well, but it is still their fault.
Marketing photos of Ivy Ridge did a good job of convincing parents that kids were having a good time and let outside the building regularly to do fun activities.
They called it activities, but literally these were publicity stunts.
In an attempt to seem like a normal school, they decided to host events for class 3 and up.
To go home.
This was definitely a shock, since normally we weren't even allowed to look at the boys.
It was like
They even put me, Molly, and Diana on the cover of the Parent Support newsletter. This was the closest thing we ever got to a prom. And even it was a sham.
It was for show. It was.
they would go back to the beginning of the program and have to start all over again if they asked to go home.
Because it's not our fight.
And then the parents are brainwashed to be like, the kids are manipulative, they're gonna lie to you, they're gonna try to tell you that everything's horrible because they're trying to manipulate you to go back home and to be able to be out of control again.
Maybe we'll pay you a visit tonight.
It's like, I understand where the parents are
Got
coming
ways
from,
of
like,
finding out what you
it's
really
weird.
are.
But to me, if I had to send my kid away, and my kid's never asked me to come home, and never asking what's going on, that's a huge red flag.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what's going on that you're not even mentioning? Like, you're not asking about when you're coming home, you're not asking to come home now, like, something's off about that. The other thing is, if you've got a good relationship with your kids, like, no matter what, Cassius is a perfect example. Shit's gone down with him when he was at Stevens. And Steven would try to manipulate the situation with him and be like, well, I allow you to see your mom even when you're not supposed to. I could take that away. Like, he would try to manipulate him in the situation. Cassius has always known we have a good enough relationship and we have a good enough trust with each other that there's nothing he can't tell me. And even if it's like, oh, I need to tell you this, but you can't act out on it because I'm not supposed to say anything. Okay, well, you still should tell me, and we'll figure out together how we're going to handle this situation. But you got to have a good relationship with your kids when they're younger. You can't wait. Like, the problem that they all had is they waited till they were teenagers. They're like, oh, my kid's not listening to me. Well, yeah, you got to build that bond when they're young. You can't wait until they're teenagers to try to do that shit.
For real.
Like, look, we have extracurricular activities. Here is our cheerleading squad. As a student who had been locked in a facility for 18 months, right, you're excited to just go pretend to be normal.
Deprive us of everything, offer us something fun, and it's like, we'll go with no question.
And then you come back and it's this instant reminder that you're not free. You know, you're not free at all.
The person responsible for the marketing photos was Tom Nichols. Tom was the public relations coordinator for Ivy Ridge. He was a local politician they brought in to put a positive spin on the program. He even took upper levels door to door after the riot to reassure locals about Ivy Ridge. Molly was one of the kids he brought with him. Turns out Tom is now a pastor at a nearby church, so we thought we'd stop by to pay him a visit. Yeah, who would have thought we'd be doing a sting operation on a local pastor?
I think about some of the efforts being made today for different areas to go after. Thing belongs, I think, the thing you do, right?
Hi, Tom. I'm Kathleen Kubler. Do you recognize any of us?
No, you're not a fan.
We all went to Academy at Ivy Ridge.
No kidding.
We did. Does it kind of scare you that some Ivy Ridge kids are coming back here?
No, actually, I expected that.
Really? Yeah, everyone has a judgment day, I guess, you know? I've been working on a documentary about Ivy Ridge for over a decade now. As you know, you managed PR for Ivy Ridge.
I was a PR coordinator. What I felt that they didn't have was a chance to get out of there and do some fun things for change.
So do you feel like the pictures you took were representative of what life was like at Ivy Ridge for the kids that were there? No, it wasn't? So how do you feel about that now? Knowing that a lot of parents were conned out of their money to send their kids to a place like Ivy Ridge where they were abused.
If this is going to realize ridiculous 6 minutes, but frankly, I'm not interested in involved.
Okay. Bye. Thanks. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
Tom, like a lot of staff at Ivy Ridge, said he was just doing his job. But that's how institutionalized abuse works. Everyone plays their part in allowing it to happen.
Come on, get in.
It was those pictures of Ivy Ridge and the well-orchestrated PR campaign that calmed a lot of parents and hurt a lot of kids.
When somebody has been humiliated and spent a lot of money for a treatment, it's really embarrassing to say I was a sucker. It's really embarrassing to admit that, and horrifying for a parent to admit that they sent their kids somewhere and hurt them.
For your dad, I mean, it's probably difficult for him to face the fact that he put you there. If he hadn't done that, you'd be a different person now. And it's hard for people to accept that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like I've been going through a years-long process of trying to deprogram my dad, to try to get him to even understand that this was a cult and that this was a scam, and just to understand the depths of the pain and hurt and abuse that happened. How any tips on how I can deprogram my dad? For real.
Dear Catherine, by now we've discussed the program to the point of repetition, and I can't really add much constructively by writing more letters and continuing to repeat myself.
If your dad is saying, why are you still talking about this? He doesn't understand the effect of that trauma on you.
You may feel that the program has been discussed to the point of repetition, but you don't even know the half of it. You don't have my lived experience being forced into a psychological experiment being systematically brainwashed during the formative years of my brain development. So no, I'm not done talking about the program yet, and I don't think I ever will be.
It's part of the processing of that experience and trying to understand what the hell happened to me.
That, my darlings, is why you're here. Why you will always be here until they
This is going to trip you out, Catherine. It literally looks like the Blair Witch Project.
Oh shit!
And it's both sides.
Oh my gosh! I just feel like a little nauseous for some reason.
Like, look at the
Oh my gosh!
This is the culty part. This is this wall that all the upper levels sign.
Yeah, so that's me.
I remember after we made level 4, this was like the indoctrination. Like, you're in now.
Yeah.
You get to sign the wall.
Alexa was the poster child for the program.
Oh my gosh! Here's Alexa on the float parade. There's Alexa at the cookout.
After all, if they could reform this out of control crackdoor, think what they could do for your trouble team.
When I see Kid Me in like all of these promotional materials, I hate that person. I hate that person. Like, I literally should have known better. And like, I think that's the thing that I struggle with. Like, you are so fucking stupid. Like, how did you not know? One of the most pernicious things about the way these programs work is that in order to advance and in order to graduate the program, you have to prove that you have bought into the ideology. And the best way you can prove that is by being mean to the other kids.
Thank you again.
You know, you've got upper level students acting as enforcers.
Alexa's signature. Yeah, I think her name was on a lot of this.
In order to save yourself, you have to betray your friends. We know from things like Milgram's experiments and the Stanford prison experiment that people's character is very much determined by the situation in which they find themselves. Very good people can be induced to do very bad things.
I found a document that I wrote that kind of blew my mind because I have no memory of it. And I know for a fact that it probably happened more than once. But it was a statement of fact that I wrote because I restrained somebody.
By becoming an enforcer and doing